All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of The Potential Project. I'm your host, Sean Calhoun, and if you're here, it's because you're ready to reduce stress, burn stubborn fat, and get your body working with you instead of against you. On this podcast, we're all about simple, no BS strategies for fitness, nutrition, and lifestyle. This way, you can feel strong, confident, and in control. I'll give you the tools, mindset shifts, and habits to help you look and feel your best without spending hours in the gym or stressing over every single meal. Now, let's get into it. All right, welcome back to another episode of The Potential Project. Now, if you're watching this up to date, it is December. It is the holidays, and we are in full swing of changing our routines up, going to parties, and enjoying the jolly time of the holidays, which I will say is one of my favorite times of year. I am a person who loves the summer and loves the warmth, but if we're going to deal with the cold and live in southeastern Pennsylvania, then we might as well have the holidays. Now, today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to keep the momentum going without totally abandoning fun and family and what the traditions are all about that you've grown up doing your entire life. Because as your routines get tossed around, your habits are a little iffy, it's easy to feel distracted and get pulled off track. And that's what we're going to talk about today because there is something that goes into all of the hard work that you're doing, the rest of the year, all of the habits that you've put in place, the early mornings, the late nights, the structuring of the schedule, the physical exercise that you're doing, all of this work that you've been doing to step into a higher identity. We don't want that to go to waste or to mentally sabotage ourselves. So this time is very tough for a lot of the women that I coach because they're family oriented, right? They want to spend time with their kids or their grandkids or their brothers and sisters and just decompress, right? There's a lot that goes on throughout the year, and that's time that you get to spend with loved ones in a way that is really refreshing, and it's nice. It fills the soul, right? But the point I'm trying to get at is that doing those things and having those activities and time with loved ones doesn't have to mean mentally sabotaging yourself. So we're going to be talking about balancing enjoyment with some intention. That means still enjoy your life, still go to the parties, still do all of the things, but have some type of intention behind it. And the way that we do that is to have a plan, right? We need to go into the holidays with some type of structure and some type of plan in place so that you can do it in a way that flows nicely. You can show up, be fully present, not have to worry about counting macros and, being extreme on any side of the fence, but you still get to make progress or at least maintain your headspace as you transition through the holidays. So the big idea is that all this work you're doing is not just physical, right? Yes, you might be lifting weights, you might be eating clean, you might be going to bed at a decent time, you might be putting some electrolytes in your water to have more hydration. Like you're taking these foundational steps to improve the quality of your life and build your vitality, and those are great, but it's not just the physical steps that you're taking, it's the identity that you're shifting and becoming a newer, better, improved version of yourself. You see, in this life, we're always on a quest to grow. So you're never really going to attain this highest version of yourself, but it's the effect that you're improving and you're making progress on yourself. That is the real goal. That is the real change. So you are one person, and maybe that person, the identity that they had, led you to not the best results. Maybe you were fatigued, bloated, you were a little, out of shape physically, your endurance wasn't there, whatever it was. It wasn't your ideal situation. And now you've been working every day towards this higher version of yourself. You're very clear on who that is. So every habit that you've been building up is shaping a different version of who you're becoming. So when the holidays come, you're presented with two different paths. One is you can slip back into those old patterns and kind of fall back into your old ways and mentally sabotage yourself and kind of get back right to where you were, or practice the new identity of yourself that you're becoming in real life. So it's actually like a proving ground where it's like, okay, things are great when you're on your schedule Monday through Friday, you're working, or maybe you're retired and you have your setup. But now that we're throwing a wrench into the plans and there are parties and different events going on and temptations to drink alcohol, have some desserts, or more so than you normally would, here is your choice. And we're at a fork in the road where is it that you're going to take the one path and choose the easy route and be comfortable and just fall back to what you've known for so many years, or the what might seem like hard path, even though it's not very difficult to do these things, it's only a few kind of steps that are going to take you towards a step towards your identity or proving the belief that you are deserving of living that type of lifestyle. They're not, don't think of the holidays as like a throwaway month or 2 months. And a lot of people do that. They're like, you know what? It's Thanksgiving, it's Christmas, it's New Year's. I just want to not have to think about exercise or my nutrition or my habits. And the point is that those habits aren't supposed to be just a checklist that you do. They're an embodiment of who you are. So these months aren't just a time to say, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to drink as much as I want, eat as much as I want, and then I'll deal with the consequences after. And we'll talk about the reasons why that's not the right option. And it's not just because you're going to eat more calories. It's not just because you might put on more weight. So I encourage you and I invite you, when you're met with this fork in the road, it's going to be easy to take that turn and go back to the old version of yourself. And it might feel almost cozy inside to say, ooh, I'm used to doing this. I've done this many times before. Because trust me, I do it all the time. I have to meet myself with this decision of, do I want to fall back into my old ways, or do I want to stay the course and continue progressing towards a maybe more uncomfortable but a better version of myself? And what becomes really hard with this decision, right, with this fork in the road, is your environment, right? Because you might be motivated on one day and it's easy to make that decision. Yeah, I'm not gonna have the dessert. I'll just call it quits after dinner and I'll go to bed afterwards, right? That's easy when you're in your normal Monday through Friday mode. Like I said, maybe you have a job or you're retired, but you have your week set up. You're in your house, you know the places you're traveling to, you know where you have to be at certain times. It's very easy to get into your good habits that way because you've worked hard at that. But what happens is the environment changes. So you're entering an environment now, there's more food, there's more alcohol, there's excitement, there's old friends and family, there's nostalgia, and your brain becomes reactive instead of being intentional. So when you're doing that, right? Like you're showing up, let's just use Christmas Eve as a great example. You show up to your family's house, or maybe you're hosting and all your family comes, and you guys make kind of like the same meals every time. Someone and your aunt always makes her nice chocolate chip cookies that she brings. Someone makes a lasagna. Like these are things that you're so excited for and that you've done your whole life. So it kind of gives you that warm feeling inside, that nostalgic feeling of Christmas and what it means to be a part of the holidays. Now, that is more powerful than you being motivated. Do you know what I mean? Like on a Monday, on a regular day in, June, you might be motivated to exercise, eat clean, and do what you have to do. But when it comes to Christmas Eve and everyone's around, this is your one chance to say, screw it, I'm just going to eat whatever, I'm going to drink whatever, and laugh and be merry. And there is an exception to that, and I do believe that you should experience all of those things. But there is a limit to which you don't have to go too far, and you can have both. You can have the nostalgia, you can have the delicious food, you can enjoy a drink or two, but you don't have to sabotage the identity that we've worked so hard to build. And that environment, I mean, let me tell you, you step in to the party and it's just like game over. It's just like whatever, free for all, eat whatever. So it leads to overeating, it leads to inflammation, upset stomach, it's going to lead to low energy, and more importantly, frustration with yourself the next day. And that is what I have struggled with, is the fact that I have these intentions and I'm building that identity. And if I've ever done this in the past, which I have, I'm a human, I've been the guy with goals and habits and an identity, and then I just totally went, ham on food and stuff like that, and I just had no restriction on what I was doing. So I'm saying this from a space of I've been there many times and it doesn't feel good. It's not worth it, and there is a way to have the best of both worlds. right? Because this isn't a lack of willpower, right? Like you can be motivated and you can have willpower all you want, but man, is there a strong pull of your biology and your environment when you're in that setting that is way stronger than willpower. So, what is the solution? So, we're going to go over a couple things that I like to do or that have worked for clients in the past that you can implement this holiday season. So, first thing is to decide ahead of time what you're going to enjoy. So, this is all about having some type of plan, and we're going to go over a couple plans. So, don't think that like you need to restrict all that you're eating. You just need to have some clarity. So, maybe for an example, like I'll tell you for Thanksgiving, my uncle makes banana cream pie, and that is like my favorite dessert. It is so good. So, instead of having a large piece of pie, I had a small piece so I could taste it. And then instead of saying I'm going to have 3 pieces of pie, I just had the banana cream pie. Hey, hope you're loving the episode so far. Thanks for spending some time with me. I got a quick favor to ask. Make sure you're subscribed to the podcast because that's how I know you're getting value from the show. And this way, you never miss an episode. All right, now back to the show. Which was a smaller portion. Maybe you love to have the sangria that you have at your party, or you love wine, or whatever drink it is. Maybe you like an alcoholic beverage. Maybe you say, I'm going to have 2 drinks instead of 5 drinks. That is a plan, and although it seems kind of silly, like what difference does that make? It makes all the difference, not only in how your body is going to react and feel, but your mindset to tell yourself that I was in control of that decision. I had 2 drinks instead of 5. I am feeling good about myself, right? Another plan of attack that you could do is to prep your body so that it handles the event better. So something that I love to do is to have apple cider vinegar before you leave. So I'll take a glass of like 8 to 10 ounces of water, put a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar in there, and that preps your body for digestion. It also better helps your body absorb glucose and sugar out of your bloodstream. So it helps with blood sugar spikes. That's great. Maybe you have some electrolytes and some mineral water before you drink alcohol. Or maybe you have a meal that has some good protein in it and some good fiber in it earlier in the day so that you don't show up and you're ravenous and just ready to tear into anything. Because when you're at parties, the food isn't served typically. It's typically in like a buffet style. It's just on the tables. It's in front of your face at all times. So you're going to mindlessly be talking and drinking, and you're always going to have something to eat in your hand. But if you maybe had a protein forward meal before you go, or a couple hours before, you'll show up and you'll be in control. You won't have those cravings, and you won't just tear up anything that you want to eat. Now, here's another thing that we can do is interrupt your normal patterns. What I mean by this is, again, if you like a cocktail or two, maybe you have a glass of water in between every single drink. That's going to make your bladder more full. It's going to help you not get drunk as easily. It's going to help you drink less. And it's going to help you stay hydrated so that the alcohol doesn't affect your system as much. Maybe you have 1 plate of food. Again, if you have a party where you do a sit-down dinner, that's another situation. But most people have food grazing around all night. So maybe you commit to making your 1 plate, sitting down, calmly eating it, and then that's what you're eating instead of grazing and picking all night. Maybe you go for a short walk after the meal. You get a couple family members and you're like, hey, let's go look at the Christmas lights. We're going to walk around the neighborhood and do a lap after you eat. Or, just pick one thing. Pick one of those things that you know is going to make you feel good while you're at the party. Now, here's the next thing, is to think through your vulnerable points. Because, like I said, it's not just your habits and your willpower. This is your environment and your biology at play, which is much stronger than willpower. So when you're around people who you love and who really only know the you they grew up with, or the old you, or that person that they label you as, even though you're trying to change that person, they're not going to respect that. They just know you for who they knew you as. So they're going to show up as that, right? So there's social pressure involved in the situation. So maybe you don't want to say no. Maybe you have a hard time telling your cousin that you don't want to drink, or you telling your mom that you don't want that food, right? That might be a hard thing to do, and also everyone else is doing it. So what you can do is just have that mindset ahead of time, and Simply like, have the conversation with people and just say, look, I'm good for now, or I'm pacing myself, or I'm all right. Like, you have to get used to saying no, or at least explaining to someone that you're not trying to be a party pooper, you're just good for now, right? Like standing up for yourself and for the version of you that you're becoming. So having this in your mind beforehand isn't going to make it not happen. It just makes it less uncomfortable when, your mom comes up to you and they're pushing a plate down your throat, right? They want you to eat that dessert that they work so hard on. And with those other things in place, you don't have to say no. You could simply either have a smaller portion, or you could say no, right? You could have an honest conversation with them and say that you're quite all right, you love them, you appreciate it, but it's not for you because you're full at the moment from all that you ate already. So just when you think through those vulnerable points, you know that they're going to happen instead of being, put with your back against the wall and all of a sudden you just cave in and you're like, screw it, I'll eat or drink whatever. Now, why does this matter? And we've been talking about your habits, your mindset, all the situations that might occur, and then what you can do about it. But why does this even matter anyway? Like, why don't you just say, forget it, I'm just going to eat and drink and deal with the consequences? Again, I mentioned in the beginning, it's not just about you eating excess calories. It's not just about how your body feels, because it will feel bad, right? You're going to have an upset stomach. You might have a hangover, a headache. You might be dehydrated. All of those things are not pleasurable experiences. But the most important thing is the trust that you have with yourself. Because if you're on a health journey and before you go, even if you don't share this with anyone, you're like, you know what? I want to feel good after this. I want to keep going with what I'm going with. I want to keep doing the habits that I've been doing. And I truly do. Like, I see this version of myself that I can be. And then it all goes out the window when you get there. When that happens, what's more important than the hangover, than the upset stomach, is that you lost trust with yourself. Because deep down inside, without anyone talking to you about it, you're feeling a little discouraged, right? Every time that you break that promise, you're losing courage, you're losing, identity in yourself, and you're losing confidence. And that does not breed the mindset that it's going to take to get where you want to get to. And it just leaves you feeling like anxious, a little sad, and it's not fun. But every time that you follow through on one of those small plans that we just went over, you're reinforcing your new identity. This is where you can take that fork in the road and build momentum and still have a good time, right? Because you're showing up to the party with a plan and immediately you grab a glass of water first instead of a drink. That's kind of like a reinforcement in your brain to say, you know what? I am this person. I'm showing up as the healthier, more vital version of myself. And then the food comes out. And you're like, okay, you told yourself you were going to make a nice plate of food and not pick. So what food do you want on that plate? Get a decent portion of it, make your plate, and you go sit down and you have that. Then that's another small win. And you're like, wow, okay, I feel good. My stomach's not upset. I enjoyed all of the dishes that were made here. This is great. And then dessert comes out and you're like, oh my gosh, there's cookies, there's pretzels, there's pizzelles, there's cakes, there's pies, there's all of it. But you're like, you know what? I really want one chocolate chip cookie and a little piece of pie. And you do that. And then you build up the momentum. Meanwhile, no one even cares. Everyone's having a great time. You're still laughing. You're sharing stories. You're having a blast. And inside your head, there's a parade going on. You're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I'm actually doing this. And I'm sticking with my plan and I'm building that momentum and that confidence within myself. This right here is the biggest win of all. It's not that you went and you drank water all night and you never touched a sweet. That's not what we're looking for. We're not looking for perfection. The goal is just staying connected with yourself. And when you do those small little things, the things that you planned for and that you told yourself you were going to do, you are staying in control. So now life is not just flying by the wayside and it's happening to you. No, it's happening for you and it's happening because of you, because you're in control of your life. So the point of all this is that you need to enjoy the holidays. You need to be present with your family because you work so hard on your habits within your job, within your family, that you need to take some time to decompress. But we need to do it in a way that doesn't sabotage all of the results and doesn't sabotage our mindset with yourself so that you can stay on the journey to continue becoming that version of yourself that you're working to grow towards, right? So just as a closing like thought of a sentence that you can bring with you to these events and these parties is that how can I fully enjoy this moment and still be proud of myself tomorrow? And if you have that question in your head, you're going to be able to make the plan accordingly to come out on the other side happy, victorious, confident, and with a full head of steam going through the holidays and be able to say, you know what, I really enjoyed that and I am continuing to move forward towards my higher self. So if you enjoyed that, guys, please share it with a friend. A lot of helpful tips in there that you can bring with you and your family members into the holidays. So again, I appreciate you. I thank you, and I will see you next week.
Hey, thanks for spending some time with me on today's episode. I hope you got a ton of value from it. If we're not connected on Instagram yet, let's change that. Hit me up at Sean Calhoun _. That's SEAN Calhoun _. Shoot me a DM. Let me know what you think of the show or if you got any questions about how to level up your health. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you on the next episode.